Once you have the quote app opened up and you want to start creating quotes, there's a couple things I'll draw your attention to before you start. First, go into settings and make sure that the sales you're selected is 2020. If it is still 2019, you're going to want to select 2020 and wait for it to download all of the 2020 data onto your app. It could take a few minutes to get all of that new data downloaded. Once you have that cleared, you can go into the list of my growers, and this should be all of the growers that show up in your list in CropEdge for that seed advisor as well. And you can scroll through, or you can search for the growers by entering in a name of somebody that you're searching for. In addition, you can also create a new grower from this page. You can enter in some demographic information and save it, and then you can create a quote right away for this grower, provided you enter a county so that we can get pricing determined. That will sync into CropEdge and go through the normal grower creation process. Now, once you select one of the existing growers, you can create a new quote, or you can look at an existing quote that is already on their account. When I click on new quote for this grower, I can enter in a description, and then I can start searching for products. First thing I'm going to look at is corn. And for this, you have some parameters that you can adjust, like the relative maturity on the top, which is a slider. You touch the ball, the orange round balls, and you can move them in. And then it'll adjust your results on the list below. You can also look by packaging. If I click, or if I select paper bags or cubits, it'll just bring in those selections. If I move to the left then and select a treatment, I can also filter on certain treatments if I just want to bring in treatments that I'm looking for. And then again, I can select everything. And then down the left-hand side, you can see you can search for Enogen, you can search for refuge, corn borer, you can select Duracade, and it'll just pull up the Duracade products. And that's just a way for you to filter your product list down even more. Within the search results itself, you can see I've got 31 products. The star on the left indicates that that's one of your product favorites. And then you've got the relative maturity, the name of the product, the dollar value, and then if I wanted to select a product, I just touch it and that puts a check mark, and then I add to quote. Now I can enter in a rate and acres if I'm doing a quote for a specific field, and it'll give me the suggested units to enter in that quote. If I don't want to do that and I want to directly enter in the units, I'll just enter that. Cubits, I'm going to enter 120 units, which is 3 cubits. And I can also likewise select soybeans and search for soybeans much the same way I've searched for corn with maturity, packaging indicators. I can select treatments and then select the products that I'm looking for by check marks and then add to quote. Now I have those in here, and I'm going to enter the number of units that I would like to enter here. And then you can see this first soybean I selected was untreated. So I can actually enter a treatment fee in this box right here. And it's going to tie that into the quote. Now that I have all my products selected, I'm going to go into the discount section. And in the discount section, you can see the average cost per corn and soy bag unit, and then with or without treatment on the top. The first program that I'm going to have to choose from is volume. You can see the suggested corn and soybean is 7% based on the gross value of this quote. Now, I can keep it that way, or I can touch the gray box that says adjusted volume discount, either corn or soybean, and it'll turn it white. And now I can enter an adjusted volume for corn, and then adjusted volume if I want to go down for soybeans. So now I have adjusted my total volume by corn and soybeans. For the Accurate offer, this is where you'll see either your acquire growers or your new growers, and then also your returning growers or your retained growers. And so this grower that I selected happens to be an acquired grower, so they're automatically getting the 13% discount, and you can see that that's totaled at the top. If they were a retain, they'd get the 3%, and it would automatically pull in that way. Now, the growth program or the growing grower program on the bottom is automatically disqualified if I am a new grower, which I am in the 13%. But in this instance, I have previous year units, so it is a growth scenario. So I can override that. But you can see now that my Acura offer now goes to 0 because they can't be a new grower and a growth grower at the same time. This is test data, so I could show you that's why they have it that way. But now I've overridden my growth, and now you can see I'm getting my growth. Prior units was 35 corn, 840 soybean, and the current system in 210 corn, 170 soybeans. So I'm getting 5% on those acres for corn and soybeans. And you can see my total of 1475. The next program is competitive allowance. If I wanted to add competitive allowance, I could do it at the crop level, dollar per unit. And I'm going to enter $4 for my corn. And then I can also do the same thing for my soybeans, and I can enter another discount. And those will total at the crop level. If I wanted to add a specific line item discount, I click on the click here box. And I can look at the 4 lines that I have, and I can add an additional competitive allowance discount at the line item level if I want to. I'm not going to in this case, so I'm going to hit done and go back to my main discounts page. I'm going to keep going down and get to the early pay section. So in this section, I can see that I've got my deadlines on the left, the discount that I qualify for cash, and then the savings if I pay in full, and then the amount due. And so if I entered a partial payment, let's say 15,000 in the first period, you can see that my savings would be 2,241.38, and I would have a remaining balance of 6,335.57 if I paid for the next period, and on down the line for the different discount periods. Same thing with the financing. You can see what I would still need to pay if I financed this this quote. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to hit apply at the very top on the right hand side, which is a very important step in this page. You want to always hit apply once you've gone to the discounts. Now I've applied those discounts to my quote, and I'm ready to view my quote. I'll go to the share button on the bottom in the middle. And what that's going to do is going to generate the output of this quote, and it's going to show my administrative header data with the sales rep, seed advisor, and the grower name and address information. And then it's going to get into the quote details that shows my 4 line items of product that I added with the traits, the units, list price, and then the list price times unit is going to give me my total list price. And then the last column, which is a new add this year, is the farm gate price. So each line is going to have a farm gate based on the discounts that I've added to the other screens. Below that, you're going to see a summary total of all the information. So the first line is the gross order total, which in this case is 29,500. My discounts based on what I entered, 7,381.38. Then my proposed subtotal, which is the 22,118.62. And then I entered a $15,000 payment, which was on the discount screen, and have a balance due of 7,118.62. Now I also added $5 per unit for my untreated soybeans, which is then added to the proposed balance to give me a final balance of 73.68.62. So that's how you read that section in there. And then if you go below that, it just breaks down the details of what you entered on your discounts. So you've got my gross on the top line, units and dollar value. Then I've got my volume at 9% for corn, 5% for soy because I split it up. My growing grower discount was 5%. Competitive allowance was 4% and 6%, and gives me a total of 18% off my corn and 16% off my soybeans, and a total of 17.43. And then I average that back out to see my average cost per unit, which should match. And then at the bottom, you can see my breakdown of the early pay periods and the financing and cash rates that apply and what the average cost would be at each. So from there, once you're satisfied with the quote, you can click on the share or touch the share button. And what that's going to do is look at what email or what options you have on your device to share that quote. For me, the only thing that I've got set up is email. So I'm going to go ahead and click on or touch the mail button, and it's going to pull up and I can enter an email address. I can send it to myself. I can send it to the grower, sales rep, whoever I want to send this to. And then I can enter a description in the subject. And I'm going to hit send. And now that sends that PDF version of the quote to whoever I put in the to line. And that is how you create a quote.